Well, I think without question it was the most carefully prepared and methodologically sophisticated piece of qualitative research that I've been involved with. So from that point of view, I think that it's almost a landmark in doing this kind of research. So the nub of the methodological approach is published in a book edited by Chris Phillipson, Social Networks and Social Exclusion. We feel that the methodology was particularly innovative because we were concerned to find the whole of an individual's significant social world, and there have been various approaches to this in the past. One way we thought was to look at people's address books or a list of people that they sent Christmas cards to, but that in pilot work was just too unwieldy, and we did some interviews and they just took forever to record, really. And you learned about far too many people. That was just not. So one of the problems with qualitative research is always the practicalities of time and energy. You have to cut back in some way, unless you're going to interview the same people as some people do every Friday afternoon for a year or something. So the method we hit on was very, very effective, where we produced for the interviewees, who I should explain were very carefully selected. We got a sample, a purposive sample, by creating a matrix of the various categories that we wanted to be represented, and then paying a research agency to find examples of these particular categories in different parts of the country. So whilst we're not looking for a kind of representative sample, it was a purposive sample and more thoroughly brought together than any other qualitative study that I've been involved with, but at some cost, evidently. So once we'd got the people in agreement through the agency to do the interview, we would send them a letter explaining something about it and 20 sticky labels, and we'd ask them to put, not to use them all if they didn't want to, but to write on these labels those that were most important to them now. And that is a very important phrase, those people who are most important to you now, and their relationship to you and where they live and how far away and so forth. And when we came to the interview, we came with a large piece of paper with concentric circles drawn on them, and asked the people to put these labels onto the diagram. And while they were doing that, we asked them more about who they were, why they were putting them where they were, and so on. And once all the sticky labels had been put on, we then asked people to consider what the implications of what they then saw for the first time was. This was really interesting because what we'd actually done for them was to make them prioritize their relationships in terms not of social distance, but that's important because people thought it may have been there, but in terms of their importance to them now, and then to say, how would you label these different levels of closeness? And people would say, well, these are the ones in the middle of the rocks of my life or something, and they would have their own labels for the different degrees of closeness. Because one of the problems of researching a topic like friends is that, of course, no one really is sure what the word friend means. It can mean anything from someone you just play tennis with now and again to someone that you've known for 30 years and is more like a brother or a sister. So by not emphasizing the word friend while we were doing the interviewing, this could emerge from what the people said. And when they looked at their whole personal community, as we called it, they would see the whole, that there'd be a social construct that they themselves had created. And they would then reflect on this, and that we would then allow them to move people from different rings if they thought, well, I don't really think that person is equivalent to that person, and so forth. And we'd also encourage them not to be swayed by normative pressures. So if they said, I suppose I better put my mum in the middle, we would say, well, only if you really think that's where she belongs. And they said, well, actually, I don't get on with my mum, and they'd put her further out. So once they were reassured that they could put, you know, what actually was true for them rather than what was expected of them, they got a different picture. So that was a very thorough and very time-consuming part of the interview. And then we went back through various stages of their lives, because they'd already completed a short schedule before we arrived, which we sent them with the introductory letter. And you know, if their first job had been a nurse or something, we would say, when you were a nurse, did you have any close friend there that you haven't mentioned now, or anybody that was important to them? And then they would say, yes, but we've lost touch, or I forgot about them, and so forth. So whilst we originally wanted to do a sort of oral history of people's relationships as they went through their lives, this took too long. But this compromise worked very well. I think that's important. It was a compromise, but it worked very well.